pop analysis where stuff and things happen. Today we're going to be talking about Unforgettable by French Montana featuring Swae Lee.
French Montana.
Kareem Caboche, aka Italian Idaho, is an American-Moroccan rapper most known for his songs
Work, what you twerk with. Go and bust it open, show me what you twerk with.
as well as
Sipping on the drink, sipping on the drink. Sipping on the drink, I ain't trying to think.
so you can see that Spanish Ohio does have a few tracks to his name already.
Swae Lee.
Swae Lee, aka Khalif Brown, is actually one half of the duo Ray Shremmerd, and some of you may remember from when we talked about their last tune.
Black Beatles in the city, be back immediately.
Since last they made Black Beatles, they have made a couple of other tunes that you may have heard of, such as
Know some young niggas like to sway. Know some young niggas like to sway.
in addition to
Jump in the Pegasus. All kind of reckless, the necklace.
Background.
Unforgettable was released April 7th, 2017. It's off of the album Jungle Rules, which was released July 14th, 2017. Unforgettable is the first single off the album, the other two being
You don't want no pressure. You don't want no pressure. You don't want no pressure.
and Unforgettable originally charted at the end of April at number 74. As of the end of July, it is number 5. Obviously, with the release of the album, it certainly helped its sales. I'm sure German Minnesota fully expected that when he released his album. Swae Lee and Swiss Nevada are credited as writers. Joining them are Christopher C.P. Dup Washington, McCulloch Reed Sutphin, Jake Jagan Aujla, and One Mind. CP Dub doesn't have many credits on the pop charts, although there is one song that he worked on that made it up there.
Make it nasty, make it nasty. Drop it on the bitch, make it nasty.
Similarly, Jagan is also pretty new to the pop scene, given he also does have one as well.
I cannot waste no time, bitch, I'm really timeless. I cannot leave my houses without diamonds.
As for One Mind and McCulloch Reed Sutphin, both are very new to the pop scene and have no sort of hits on the charts. Hell, I don't even know what One Mind's real name is. So big shoutouts to Dutch Arkansas for helping so many guys get on the pop scene. Unforgettable is released off Epic and Bad Boy Records, in addition to Polish Kentucky's own record label, Coke Boys.
Form.
Unforgettable is a hip-hop song, is just under 4 minutes long, is in G-sharp minor, 4/4 time, and just under 100 beats per minute. The intro to the track is very short, being only 4 bars long and completely instrumental. After that, the track opens with the chorus, sung by Swae Lee. Following that, we have the first verse, done by Portuguese Kansas.
Ship the whole crew to the cruise ship. Doing shit you don't even see him move.
This is then followed by a bridge figure done by both Swae Lee and Ukrainian Colorado.
Now you want you. Just pop bubbly in the cool.
That then leads us to our next chorus, followed by another verse by Greek Wyoming, but this time he is singing a little bit.
Baby, go and grab some bad bitches. Bring them home.
Then gives us another bridge figure,
Now you want you.
and Swae Lee gets us out of there with an outro.
Instruments.
There are a number of instruments, given some of them are much more complex and some of them are much more simple.
Piano, pad, and bass.
The reason these are listed together is that they all play the same thing, that G sharp, F sharp, C sharp, D sharp figure. Given there is a part later in the song where the bass plays by itself and then the piano and pad fade in over the top of it.
Steel drums.
Given that it's not actual steel drums, it's just a patch they're using. Regardless, it starts off that B figure dropping down to the D sharp, then going to the F sharp, with a little F sharp, G sharp thing near the end of the first phrase. The second phrase repeats it, but without that F sharp, G sharp phrase at the end.
Synth.
The synth line can be understood as a counterpoint figure to the bass line, going G sharp, D sharp, E, D sharp.
Lead.
So for the most part, the lead is just these long held out notes, given that there are pitch bends, which is what those slurs represent. Ultimately, though, it's just a D sharp, F sharp, C sharp, F sharp, B, C sharp, D sharp line.
Soft synth.
Out of all the instruments, this one is the absolute hardest to hear, but it can really just be understood as just kind of a D sharp, then B.
Vocals.
All of the vocals can be found within the verses and the choruses. The vocals in the bridge and outro are actually just taken directly from the chorus.
Chorus.
So Swae Lee opens with these figures that revolve around that D sharp and that C sharp, going above and below them with various slurs and short syllables. After that pattern is developed with some variations, he moves on to a different figure which more revolves around a B and a C sharp. After playing around with that figure a little bit, he then puts a short kind of codetta at the end of the first half of his chorus, with these more spaced out rhythms quickly followed by relentless rhythms that have a lot of repeated notes. The second half of the chorus opens with the title of the track and the one most people will probably remember when singing it. He then gives a more complex rhythm, always ending on those two 16th notes, but preserves the melodic contour that he gave shortly before. He then simplifies it, making the overall rhythm shorter, but still ending on those 16th notes. He then ends the chorus, further simplifying the rhythm to just mostly 8th notes.
First verse.
So Austrian Alabama opens up the first verse with usually doing some sort of 16th note figure, ending with 8th notes.
Feeling like I'm fresh out booze. If they want the drama, got the ooze.
Russian Utah then continues that idea, but this time he mixes it up a bit more between the 8th notes and the 16th notes.
She want the last name with the ring on it. Cause I pulled out $1 million cash, told her blank on it.
Second verse.
So the big thing about the second verse is now Romanian Pennsylvania is using the melodies that Swae Lee sang before to combine with his raps.
You ain't enough for me. Too much for you. Alone.
Danish Oklahoma even does a version of Swae Lee's codetta that we talked about previously.
Too much combo, 24 hours. When you stand next to me, 24 hours. She left her man at home.
Irish Wisconsin finally ends the second verse with his own sort of melodic concoction with a few rhythmic elements thrown in for good measure.
Don't mind nobody, so you'll never hurt nobody. Baby, gon' work your body. Work your body.
Ultimately, will this song be unforgettable? I don't know. But I can tell you one thing, it will get your I don't know, Luxembourgish Connecticut.